To release or not to release? That's the question. Donald Trump has come under scrutiny for not releasing his tax returns for decades. Now, each presidential nominee has traditionally released them, but Trump says he can't release his because he's under a multi-year tax audit. Trump spoke to me about this particular issue last night. People are suspicious that you're not releasing because in January of 2012, you said to me that Mitt Romney was making a big mistake by not releasing his. So naturally, that's become a flashpoint.
No, but he wasn't under audit. I'm under audit. No lawyer would say release it when you're under audit. And these are very simple audits.
I agree. I'm a lawyer. I wouldn't have someone, but I agree.
No, you represented me, and I'm under audit, and it's a routine
I'd tell you
audit.
not to release.
You would
I agree.
say not release.
If
okay,
I were your lawyer.
So the answer is I'll release. Hopefully before the election, I'll release, and I'd like to release.
Former presidential candidate himself, Governor Mike Huckabee, goes on the record. Good evening, Governor.
Hi, Greta. Great to be back.
Okay, Governor, there are two types of returns here. We've got the returns that he says are under audit, and then we have the returns that are not under audit, which if he's under audit for 3 years, then I'm talking about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years back. Should he release his tax returns?
Absolutely not. And let me tell you why. Biggest mistake I ever made, it was a freshman candidate mistake, was to release 20 years of tax returns, my first race. Because I thought, well, gosh, everybody will really appreciate the transparency, the openness, the honesty. Well, I learned something important, Greta. Never help load a gun that's pointed at your own head. And when you release your tax returns, which the law does not require you to do, you release very detailed financial information in the financial disclosure, and every candidate has to do that. There's far more information than in a tax return. And let's face it, how many people do their own tax returns? Not many.
Well,
you know why? Because they don't understand them. And guess who else doesn't understand them? The IRS doesn't understand their own tax forms either.
Yeah, well, don't get me started on Congress. They write those laws, and then not one of them can do his own tax return or her own tax return. Okay, here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. As a candidate, he sort of created this mystery because he went on the limb and went after Romney for not releasing his. So he's got a little bit of the problem that, you know, he said Romney should, so why doesn't he? Now, I get the audit stuff. If I were his lawyer, I'd say don't release the audit. But he's created this mystery. And what could possibly be in those returns? The only things in return are source of income. We pretty much know his source of income, his charitable deductions, and so I don't know what they are at all. He's a very generous guy, and I also, by the way, know he gives to many organizations that aren't 501c3. They can't deduct, so they won't appear there. So I mean, so what's the big deal? End the mystery and release 3 years that aren't under audit.
Well, here's what he could do. He could get a CPA to do a summary of his taxes, indicating those basic things: how much money he made, how much he gave to charity. But his tax returns are going to be hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of pages. There's not very many people in the country, and certainly not many reporters, who are going to be able to understand that. We're going to pick something out and do it.
Well, first of all,
you know, I think that probably was a mistake, but as big a mistake is that Mitt Romney is now going after Donald Trump. Greta, let me ask a question. Do you know of any person who was ever either elected or not elected President of the United States because of the release of their tax returns or the failure to release tax returns? The answer is no.
I don't think either, but Governor, it's a slightly different situation because he went after someone else for not doing it, and he's created this little bit of a mystery that's dogging him. And if there's no big deal, if he releases them, then he gets rid of the mystery, so the dogs stop, you know, nipping at his heels over it, and that's the end of it.
It won't be the end of it. That's the problem. He releases those tax returns, and then he'll get off message, and every day some reporter's going to be asking him about something on page 474 on the tax return. He needs to stick to his message. He is the nominee for the Republican Party because he's talked about the fact that the general population of America, they don't have any money to report on their tax returns. He needs to keep fighting that battle, and to heck with these people who are demanding his tax returns.
Did you release yours as a candidate for president?
Not this time. You know, I probably would have had I been the nominee. I can't remember if I did. I released a summary statement. I did do that, a summary statement that had all the pertinent information. But quite frankly, my tax returns were also complicated. And if I'd released them, nobody would have understood them. Heck, I don't understand them. I think that's why we need to get rid of the IRS and not have people release ridiculously complicated tax returns.
All right, and it's just sort of for consistency. I also think this is a slightly different issue, that Secretary Clinton should release all the transcripts from her speeches because she's likewise created that same sort of mystery and's got the dogs nipping at her heels. And if she releases that, of course, that, you know, who knows Maybe you're right that these things don't go away when you give the taxes to the reporters and the speeches. But anyway, Governor, nice to see you, sir.
Thank you, Greta.